Good morning and happy Monday, or should I say happy Cyber Monday, since we're right off the holiday weekend. Thanks for joining us for the Stahls TV Morning Show. I'm Courtney.
I'm Jenna.
And we're excited to have you guys here fresh off of your Thanksgiving weekend. Hopefully you're able to get online this morning and check out some really great Cyber Monday deals. Speaking of, if you haven't seen them, all weekend long at Stahls, we've been running Cyber Monday or Cyber Weekend specials. And so we've been running 15% off our pre-cut numbers. We've also been running 15% off patterns, glitter flake, holograms. So if you haven't taken advantage of these now, today is the last day. So make sure you go ahead and get your purchases in there. I love 15% off glitter flake. I feel like I could stock up big time. We have a bunch of new colors. So we have the rose gold, we have rainbow white, rainbow black, mint, periwinkle. So those are just some of the new colors, plus all
of those holiday patterns too that we just added. So be sure to take advantage of those with all the holidays coming up.
Yeah, so if you're getting ready to take some orders, or if you have a few sales on your website, maybe stock up on those patterns so you can go ahead and process those with 15% off. So don't forget about that. Now, before we get into today's main topic, we're going to be talking all about workwear. Big market for the workwear market. So we're going to share a lot of opportunities there, share some ways you can dive in and get into some of that market. But before we do that, let's take a look at Look of the Week this week.
Okay, so I absolutely love that we chose a bag this week, because typically we're doing t-shirts and stuff like that. So it's fun to see something and a little different, mix it up with a backpack here. So where did you say that she sourced this from?
She actually sourced these bags from Sanmar, or from Transfer Express, which distributes Sanmar. So that's actually one of the bags from there, and then good old-fashioned film on the front pocket there.
Right, so it's good to see someone actually incorporating some of the accessories that we print here on the morning show and live broadcasts, and hopefully she was able to use either some of those heat printing pillows or even those interchangeable platens on the Hotronix Fusion.
Yeah, it's a perfect bag for decorating. I don't have the item number, of course, but you'll notice how that open pocket on the front there just makes a perfect pouch to slide in on a platen or slide in a pillow or a print perfect pad, so you can get a good print surface. And that's really the most important thing when you start sourcing bags is that's one thing we always do when we start looking at bags to print here at Stahls TV. We always think, okay, how can I print this? Can I isolate that print location? Can I get it flat, especially when there's a lot of ribbing and seams and zippers that can get into the way?
Right.
So we appreciate Carmen from Rock Solid Athletics sharing that with us on the Saturday show and tell. You can always share these with us by emailing us at tv@stahls.com. We check them out on the Stahls Facebook page. Every Saturday we run a show and tell. That's a really good way for you to see what other people are decorating too and get some inspiration. And you can tag us on Instagram at Stahls TV.
Please do.
So we love to see what you guys create. Later today we'll also be creating some things as well, as we do Make It Monday. But before we do that, let's dive into today's main episode.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking all about workwear and how that is such a big opportunity as an apparel decorator. There are definitely a variety of different markets that you can reach. So being able to talk about all of the different garments that apply to all of those markets are going to be applicable to your business if you're looking to get into that market.
Yeah, the workwear market is huge. They actually estimated the North American workwear market to be $10.5 billion. So it's a big opportunity, and that includes so much.
Right.
It includes a lot of what, when we see the industrial workers, safety workers, business employees, so we just see a whole range of items and opportunity within that. And so, of course, the custom apparel market is perfect for that, because we see a lot of businesses having the need to put their logo on items for their employees. Maybe they're visiting job sites, maybe they're near the roadways where they need certain amounts of reflective on their garment, or maybe it's just to a brand perspective. So when your customers come in your shop or in your store, they know who they're talking to, and it helps to really just build the brand and make it more of a higher quality company.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really, for starters, you definitely want to target a market. So first we have on the list is safety and industrial. So being able to figure out what market requires what. So if we're talking about safety, and municipalities are going to require a certain reflective material on there. So you'll have to always target your market, talk about the offering, talk about the garment that you want to offer, and then also the decoration method that you're going to be applying there. So those are 4 key things that we keep in mind whenever we're trying to target a certain business or corporation.
Yeah, and so you have the safety industrial market, which includes a lot of businesses, really. We see construction companies, we see tow truck companies, and then we see as far as police, EMS, so that's kind of in that safety realm. So there's a whole lot of opportunity within that very little sector there, even if you just wanted to go after that workwear industry. And so once you kind of dive in on your niche there and decide who you want to go after, it really comes about looking for your customers, whether it's, I'm going to definitely go after construction companies within a 200-mile radius of my shop. And so I'm going to get the Yellow Pages, I'm going to get Google, I'm going to start looking for large corporations in the area that do that specific part of the industry, and then going from there and crafting your offering. Right,
and a lot of businesses, and we've talked about it here on the morning show a lot, they do 3 different types, and that's a good, better, best. So you want to be able to target that market by giving them a variety of options to pick from. Some people like to stay more on the lower end because they just only have so much in their budget to spend on apparel. So always having a good option with a lower end budget but still has a high perceived value to it, and then giving them a middle option and a better option that's a little more high end that they may be more willing to pay and that extra buck for.
Yeah, it depends definitely on the customer type. I think it's kind of sales 101 where you understand the budget going in when you're selling workwear, when you're selling to any customer base. What I always recommend doing is having those options available, but also having a value option. But once you have that budget established up front, then you can walk in and say, here's what I have that will fit your budget. It's going to be this value package. But you wouldn't want to walk in with some high-end garments or your best option if they're not going to hit that price point. You want to make sure they know you have availability, that I can do this if you want something that's a bit more high-end and your budget allows for it. But if your budget doesn't, this is what I have.
Right, and I think Sanmar does this well, where they provide a lot of different apparel options that give you a good, better, best option, or if you're definitely wanting to stay on that lower end but still have that higher perceived value, where you can use a material like 3M reflective without making that price jump so much.
Yeah, and so you mentioned 3M reflective. So decoration is another thing when you're in the safety and industrial workwear market. In my experience working with customers that have decorated in this industry, we usually see either matte finishes, usually screen printed transfers, or it can be heat transfer vinyl as well if it's a lower quantity. And then we also see reflective, so they see kind of the basic finish that allows you to keep the logo standard, a lot of white, a lot of black. And then also your reflective. And reflectives are interesting because we just recently launched, I think a couple weeks ago here on the morning show, a CAD cut reflective. It's a phenomenal reflective, very easy to use, easy to apply, weeds easy, but it's not ANSI certified. And so ANSI certifications are one of those things that you always look into when you're in the workwear industry, because it allows for you to be able to say, to make sure that the product that you're selling meets the certifications that are required. So ANSI certifications is the standard that is set for high visibility apparel. And so they're saying that these workers that are near roadways or that are in these types of positions require this much of reflective or this type of garment, whether it's a color of garment or a style of garment, to be able to be reflective or to be able to be seen and safe during their work wear. So you want to make sure you know that information when you go after these customers with items like apparel or decoration.
Right, so that really creates the value in your business and the product that you're trying to give them, being able to know the different reflectives that you need to offer, and if they don't require that 3M reflective, being able to offer another option such as that CAD cut reflective too. And that's more of an economy reflective that is easy to put onto t-shirts if you're just doing a couple one-offs here and there for that business.
Yeah, and Kathy had even made a mention here on Facebook that it allow for a mix also, so some high-end for sales calls, some value-end garments for everyday work in the trenches type things, and that opens up for more things like awards jackets, sweaters, all of those types of items. So being able to have that mix is a really great point, so we appreciate that, Kathy. So that kind of shares some of the insight on the workwear market. It's definitely a huge, vast part of the industry, and so I think it's important for you to target where you want to go within that and create a product and a pitch that really works for you for that market.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that kind of brings us into another market and being able to know those different niches, because there are 3 different types that Sanmar actually breaks out for us very nicely in this sales guide, and that is corporate, cool, and casual. So if we're working for businesses and corporations, there are different styles and demographics within those corporations that require different types of styling. So this sales guide and idea guide gives us that from Sanmar.
Yeah, so we'll take a look. This resource is just available from sanmar.com under the Sanmar U section, so you can download this, keep this as a reference when you're looking for garments. But the business corporate market, where you're looking at financial institutions, car dealerships, maybe museums, different companies like this, where you're looking to outfit their employees, they've broken up to what I would agree is kind of a corporate, casual, and cool. And I think is what you're really starting to see in the professional workplace. So the corporate market is what I really consider those financial institutions, maybe car dealerships, where they're wanting to really have a polished, high-end style. And so if you're looking to do logo apparel here, they recommend some Red House sweatshirts, also some Oxford shirts, so being able to pair them together. One thing you'll see is a very big trend when it comes to business uniforming is the layering. So being able to layer sweatshirts with polos, with t-shirts with sweatshirts when we get into some of the other markets, but that's a big opportunity there. And so we'll take a look at a few key looks that would be great for the corporate market if you're looking to sell into these.
Yeah, and I really like how they kind of put us together a style guide for if you're decorating for these. So it gives us a variety of options there. We're seeing jackets over polos, sweaters over collared shirts, and being able to pair that with bags even. So you don't just have to sell them one shirt. You can put together a variety of different things and saying, okay, I can print all these shirts for you, but here's a jacket that I can print for your company as well, and also these bags for your employees also.
Yeah, it's kind of the concept. I mean, we've said it for years where they say, do you want fries with that? But it's, you know, the idea that even if somebody comes to you and they say, I want 150 polo shirts for my store, as business owners, we should always be thinking, what else can I offer them? So, yeah, they want 150 polo shirts, but can I also give them 150 jackets that their employees may need when it gets a little cooler?
Right.
Do they also need bags maybe to carry if they've got sales reps going in and out of locations, or people going and visiting job sites? Like, what else can I provide? Yes, they have this need, but are there additional needs they just haven't identified?
Right, and then you also have to take into consideration the activities that big corporations are doing too. So there's always golf outings and things that you could also be adding their logo to, so whether that's a golf towel or golf bag or even a golfing polo. So just being able to open up that and make the company that you're going after realize you can do it all for them, that you're a one-stop shop for them, and this style guide, I think, puts that together perfectly.
Yeah, so it's a great resource from Sanmar, and you can use this in your sales calls as well.
Absolutely.
So we've looked at the corporate apparel market there. I'm going to scroll down here to the casual market. I think this is kind of the blend between corporate and what we see the cool marketplace. So this would be kind of the business casual worker. This is 50% of the workforce today. So 50% of workers are wearing kind of this dress pants with a sweater, jeans with a nice blouse. They're in that kind of range for workwear. And so you can see some options here. Again, we're seeing a lot of layering, and this is where I see a lot of athleisure start to enter into the corporate workplace.
Yeah, so, and you can kind of see, like, we're taking that corporate and we're making it more casual. So although we're seeing a lot of the similar things, it's just being able to take that, it's really just changing up the fabric type to make it more comfortable and office cool.
Yeah, so we're starting to see a lot less of the rigid cotton fabrics and a lot more of that polyester blends, tri-blends, those types of garments start to work into the workplace here. So the polos are no longer cotton piqué polos or Oxford button-ups, but now they're more of a performance polo. And instead of it being a layered sweater, we're starting to see a performance zip-up jacket. Yes. And it just all depends on the customer base. I mean, the business that you're walking into is going to have a different culture and a different uniform that they're allowing their employees to wear. And so you just want to make sure you have these resources so you can say, this is what I think fits your culture best. Here's my options.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how they're incorporating a lot of those heather textures, which is also very retail inspired, but being able to incorporate that into your offering for these businesses and corporations, I think, plays a big role in your hand.
Yeah, we look a lot at the trends that we see every year, and actually we'll be getting ready to announce some of the 2018 trends coming up on Stahls TV on the morning show and live here on Facebook. But when we look at those trends, we always think, okay, that translates well into spirit wear, or that translates well into my current customer base.
Right.
We never think about how some of those textures and performance wear and those athleisure trends start to really move into the workwear market, but they're definitely there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the last part of this is kind of the cool market. I'd like to say we're cool, Jenna. We would probably fall into this. So this is for today's young or young at heart, so where we start to see a millennial audience. And they're really changing what we start to see as a professional audience. And so we're seeing a lot of layering again, but this time we're seeing more like blazers with t-shirts or a
more comfortable.
Yeah, a lot more comfort when we get into this, a lot more athleisure, but we're seeing a lot more blends in the fabric type, maybe color blocking. Like I said, the t-shirts, which is something we definitely wouldn't have seen before at the corporate level. We're starting to see that now in this part of business uniforming. And so there were some trends that we highlighted through here. I just want to touch on those. Layering is huge. Easy care fabric, so that's where I think we start to see a lot more athleisure. I know for us, even when we choose our own trade show apparel, we tend to like the things that are more comfortable, that have performance aspects. So even if you're just decorating apparel for trade show workers, a lot of them want to feel comfortable because they're on their feet all day long working and selling products. So definitely easy care fabric, things that are comfortable, and then mixing it up. So not being afraid to incorporate plaids and patterns and decorate those with solid sweaters and things as well.
Right, so that's another trend that we're seeing a lot in business and corporate apparel, or a lot of gingham patterns or plaid, and being able to just incorporate that into the overall style that you're offering.
Yeah, and they're easy to decorate. The only thing I would recommend whenever you're choosing a plaid is that you make sure the logo pops off.
Right.
And a lot of the times that's required a single color kind of contrast color so that a full color logo doesn't get lost whenever you're mixing with patterns. But there's a lot of opportunity there as well.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. All right, so for our next market within the workwear is our restaurants and hospitality. So I think that this kind of brings up a good opportunity for business decorators, because there are so many locally that you can target and really go after, so it makes your sales pitch a lot easier. And then there are a variety of different demographics that you need to hit in each also.
Yeah, so we have, so far for those of you guys that are just joining us on Facebook, we've talked about the workwear market with industrial, we've talked about the workwear market and business uniforming, and now we're transitioning into hospitality, so restaurants, bars, pubs, which is a huge opportunity. For me, I think, again, it kind of mirrors the same thing we've been talking about, where you want to make sure that you know the brand that you're going after and the customer that you're going after, because when people come to you for logoed apparel for their business, it's because they want to make sure their brand is well represented and that it continues across their items. So they're, you know, if I'm going to do logoed apparel for a local trendy coffee shop, it's probably not going to be the same pitch that I'm going to give to a 5-star resort or a 5-star restaurant that needs more high-end products. Maybe the styles that I'm choosing are going to be very different, and the decoration as well.
Yeah, so you may even see some of those corporate looks that we were taking a look at in that sales guide from Sanmar being translated into those really high-end 5-star resorts and restaurants and what have you. And then if you're looking more onto like a local restaurant, pub, or what have you, they're going to be more geared towards your t-shirts, aprons, hats. So there are also accessories that I think play into that a lot too. So being able to just show that you can print all these different accessories and items so that they're representing that local restaurant well, and then also if they're reselling the merchandise that you're printing for them. So we've all been on vacation where we're going into restaurants, and they all are selling those t-shirts for a popular restaurant. And those are definitely things that you could take advantage of also.
Yeah, I think it's important to have that offering established, so that if a restaurant comes to you and says, hey, I need 50 t-shirts for my employees, or I need 50 outfits or uniforms for my employees, you can say, hey, I can definitely do this. By the way, have you ever considered reselling?
Right.
All you need to do is in the lobby of your office or of your restaurant, dedicate a small merchandise space, and then, you know, we'll give you XYZ amount of apparel. Once you sell that, here's the process for ordering. But allowing them to see this allows you to make this profit by being able to sell this. And so they may have came to you just because they needed a solution to a problem, which is they needed logoed apparel, but you can also provide a way for both of you to make more profit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also being able to market or brand your business also. So if you are printing those t-shirts for them, even if it's for an event that they may be hosting, being able to put your business logo and number on the side of the t-shirt, so people who want to do this also can know where you're coming from. So just being able to let others find you too, I think is important if you're decorating for local businesses.
Yeah, so lots of good tips there. I think one thing for sure is if you're not selling into the workwear market, if you haven't considered this, it's important to start diving into one of these areas. Really just start looking at what's available locally, regionally, and then you can expand from there, decide what target audience, what niche you want to establish. I think that's important with anything. That's what makes most businesses successful, understanding the niche. I'm not saying, definitely go after all of these workwear markets because there's so many available, but you can establish which ones are most profitable for you, maybe where the opportunity is in your local area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's some great information on workwear. Before we head out today, I do want to head over to the heat press because today's Make It Monday, I think, can bring all of this kind of back together for workwear. So we'll go that. Okay, so during today's episode, Jenna and I talked a lot about patterns, understanding the brand, and choosing a garment and decoration that really blends those two items together and really gives a solid look. So whether you're doing uniforms or merchandise to be resold for a workwear market, it's important to make sure that you understand the customer, understand the brand, and you can create a sample and a sales item for them that does that. So for today's Make It Monday, I'm actually going to be printing a patterned alternative apparel blank. This is something I would consider for maybe a higher end resort or a business that maybe wants to, their brand may be something that's a bit more rustic or something that's a bit more outdoorsy. So understanding that, I would go with something like this. Of course, I wouldn't choose this for maybe a coffee shop that has kind of a farmhouse feel or a high-end restaurant, but this would be something perfect for the market I was looking to go after. And it may have been something that they never considered because they were thinking that maybe blank t-shirts were exactly the only option that they had available. So I'm going to take this shirt. It's actually a tri-blend garment from Alternative Apparel, and I'm going to load it onto the 11 by 15 platen that we have here. I've loaded this on here simply because I want to make sure that I'm getting all of the seams off of the heat press, especially because I'll be applying a goof-proof transfer down to this. So I just want to make sure I'm removing any seams that could gloss up under that higher temperature. So that's why this 11 by 15 is a perfect platen for this. Just going to preheat for a few seconds, 3 to 5, to get the moisture out of the garment. And then for the decoration for this, I've chose a goof-proof transfer. Now you're going to notice that the goof-proof transfer is ganged up on this sheet. So when you order screen printed transfers like this from Transfer Express, this is a really good opportunity if you're doing merchandise selling or if you're just going to be planning to reprint garments every so often. You can order screen printed transfers like this, stock them and store them in your shop, and then whenever you get an order for more garments, you can press them down. Now, if you're doing this from a merchandise perspective, I always recommend setting a minimum order quantity so they can't just come back and say, I need 5 more because I ran out of 5 mediums. They're going to have to place a larger order that's worth your time for being able to stop your heat press from other jobs to produce this. And also turn around as well. So I'm going to take my single color goof proof. I also chose just to go with the color white for this print, simply because I want it to stand out on this camo pattern, and when you start to mix with patterns like we talked a little bit during the episode, you need a solid color that's going to stand out. I am a little close on my print here, but I think I'm going to fit, so I won't need to rotate this at all. Goof proof doesn't need a cover sheet, and I'm actually applying it a little bit lower temperature, so I've taken it down to 340 degrees for 8 to 10 seconds. The reason I chose to do this is goof proof traditionally applies at a higher temperature of 365 degrees, but I wanted to avoid any problems that I could run into with scorching on this tri-blend fabric. So I dropped the temperature down to the alternate application at 340, 8 to 10 seconds, hot peeled that, and then we've got a nice standout print there. And so you can see, as I bring that up here, that white really stands out from the camo. And so a couple things to consider here, because I know we get a lot of questions about printing garments, specifically printed camo garments. This I mentioned is a tri-blend, so it's 50 poly, I believe 15%, 25% rayon, and then the rest is cotton. And so this garment, I don't have any issues with dye migration when I run into this, where it's more of a cotton-based rayon fabric. If you're decorating a polyester like digi camo, you're going to want something that's going to block the dye migration, like the silicone product we launched a couple weeks ago here on the morning show. But this one here works really well if I'm doing goof proof just on a standard camo cotton t-shirt. The white really popped off, so if you're looking at patterns, thinking about a contrasting single color that allows the logo to stand out on that camo garment. So a great option there. Again, that garment's from Sanmar as well. I don't see any questions coming in right now on Facebook. A lot of good mornings, a few good evenings. So hello, Gaylord from the Philippines. Thanks for joining us tonight for our morning show. I'm going to head back over to the table. If you guys have questions, go ahead and write them here on Facebook.
So I really love how that turned out on the t-shirt with that white really popping off of that pattern t-shirt. But I was just wondering, or I wasn't wondering actually, you used goof proof on that. You stated that, sorry about that. But I do really love how that turned out, and I like being able to incorporate patterns whenever we're decorating for municipalities or local pubs and restaurants. So I really like the Make It Monday this week.
Yeah, just thinking about different ways you can take the blank garment or take the decoration and really help that, I guess, that business's brand come to life, and that's a great way to do that. Good. So that's it for today's morning show. A lot of information. We'll be sharing more information about the ANSI certifications and workwear on the Stahls TV blog this week, so make sure you tune into that later this week. And that we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.